Alrighty. Welcome everybody. As always, if you'd like to, please sign in. We'll be doing a project round robin. We have some exciting updates today, particularly for documentation. And we'll talk a little bit about outreach and events. Feel free to add anything to the section if you'd like. And then also for any other business, if there's anything you'd like to discuss that's not already mentioned above, feel free to add a note. So I think we'll jump right in for Recor, Fulcio, or Cosine updates. James, did you want to mention the proposals here since I see you're here?
Yeah, sure. I have a proposal for Recor to use the MySQL database as sort of like the source of truth to kick off some other events, such as writing to Redis and publishing events about new entries to PubSub. This should hopefully be a bit more stable than the API server just trying to send those events and then hopefully they succeed and not having a great story if they don't. And the other proposal is to support attestations for hardware-backed keys, such as YubiKeys and Fulcio certs. So I welcome any comments. I appreciate any input.
Thanks so much for filing those, James. I think they're both really good proposals that kind of cover some areas we haven't touched on before. I think the Recor one in particular is really nice to see. I think that's a really tough problem around consistency between multiple data sources. So it's cool to see that there's a solution out there for that. I appreciate the puns. Were there any other updates for Recor or for Fulcio for Cosine?
I think we need to cut a Recor release reasonably soon. And I think Cosine is overdue for one as well. So.
Yes, I agree. Recor, I believe, I know I've made one change recently around improving an identities API, so it's a little bit easier to extract the verifiers. And I believe there's just a few more bug fixes that need to go in. Cosine, I think last week we talked about cutting a release, so I'll follow up on that. But that'll come with a bunch of bug fixes that have been reported recently. And for Fulcio, there have been no significant recent changes, so no need for a cut there. All right, I think that's about it for those projects. I don't see anybody from the client side. I'm not aware of any recent updates. Was there anything that people want to chat about for clients? Cool. Well, we'll move right on. I don't think there's any updates for infrastructure either. We haven't made any recent changes. I think it was a couple weeks ago that we did the move to a new load balancer, and that went smoothly. So no updates there. I guess one small update for Tough is that I've made a change to the staging Tough metadata, which I think is mostly only relevant for clients. But if you are reliant on the staging metadata, there's been a minor update, so your client will go pick it up automatically. I think that's about it there. For docs, Patrick, do you want to talk about the major change?
Yeah, so we've just completed the replatform to Hugo. So a fairly significant switchover with a fairly completely new site. I encourage you to take a look at it and see what you think. We did manage to close with the replatform. We managed to close a couple of long-standing bugs. So one being the caching issue. It does seem to be resolved. And then another being some issues people had with the old search. And with the replatform, we switched to Flex Search for the indexing and searching on the site. And that seems to be working better. And people who had opened bugs, I checked in with them to see if the new site fixes those, and it seemed like they did. So I closed those issues. And I do think that it's Hugo. It's a fast site. And I think it also may open us up, put us in a good position if we choose to add features down the line, such as versioning and different language, making it a multilingual site if we choose to go in those directions in the future. So I think those are good things. Of course, with a replatform, there's new bugs, there's regressions. We're right now working on a PR to fix some issues with links. There was a new item added to the link hierarchy, which breaks a lot of older links, which in general wouldn't be that big of a deal with, considering we just reorganized the content anyway, and a lot of those links have been changed anyhow. But I do agree, someone was commenting, and the normal coder was commenting, that it does kind of make the URLs kind of a little redundant. So I'm working on simplifying the URL structure, taking that added piece out, and which should tidy things up a little bit. But if you run into issues, if you run into bugs, please open issues. I'm sure there will be other, things that occur to us, or things that, there's a few changes to the appearance, like for example, the menus on the sidebar are collapsible and so on. So, feel free to give feedback on those.
Fantastic work on this, Patrick. I love to see this. I mean, I hadn't tried out search yet. This is basically instantaneous. There was lag before. I mean, the site looks fantastic. That caching issue, I'm so happy is resolved now. So great work on this.
Cheers.
I guess one thing to call out too is that I don't believe we mentioned this. I think 2 weeks ago, but there are now sections that are a little bit different, that are focused more on user journeys rather than the individual components of the system. So that's kind of one thing to note here. These individual components are focused a little bit more on deep dives and as a developer, what you might want to do, whereas most users likely will interact with the signing, verify, and key management sections. So that's another nice improvement. Should hopefully help.
I just want to note that that's John Van Adenberg's work. So, kudos to him for that.
I see a hand raised. Was there a question?
Hello. Sure. Hi everyone. I'm normal coder, whom just joined the source documents website. I try to contribute some PR on the document, and I am so happy to find that the document website just migrates from the Knox into Hugo. And actually, I'm trying to do something with Sigstore, just like I just work to try to work it and translate all the document into Chinese. At the same time, I found some problems. There is something I can be accept, just like some markdown, right? It perhaps not very good, or the website may just a little not perfect. So I just work with the English document and try to solve these things. Perhaps we can try more something. So I just want to know if we will have a plan to change the documents structure, and we will update how long it will be suitable, and perhaps we can make a release for it. I will begin my work to translate all the documents into Chinese after this time.
Can I just jump in and say that the PRs that you've created have been really good, and I learned a lot from reading the one that you wrote on the Markdown spec, the list indenting and stuff like that. So thank you for those. And I will say, if you start the Chinese documentation and you want to share a repo with some of the documentation and some information on it, I will start the. I can look into creating a more multilingual doc site if that's of interest to the community. So So thank you for those. Oh, and also I will say, I agree with you about the docs URL at the beginning, and I'm going to try to fix that. So hopefully that works.
Sure, I'm also trying to solve this problem tonight. Just it was a night. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking a look at that translation. Awesome. Were there any other updates for any of the projects under Sigstore? Cool. So moving right along, I believe there were no new updates for events. The ones I still call out is that we have a research workshop focused on transparency systems. Submissions are due September 1st. So deadline's coming up. If you'd like to submit something for that, feel free to reach out to myself. I'm happy to talk a little bit more about the purpose of the workshop and what we're looking for. I believe then the next major event will be mid-September when OSS EU happens and OpenSSF Day EU. I know some members from the community are giving talks on some related topics in supply chain security. So I'll call those out in the next community meeting, but best of luck to everyone giving talks. All right. I don't see too much for any other business. So the one thing I just wanted to touch on just for a little bit of reducing meetings where right now there's minimal attendance. It looks like for office hours, we haven't had a lot of attendance. So I'd like to merge office hours into the community meeting. So effectively, the any other business section will also include office hours. It's been very similar already in that if people have questions, this is a perfect time to bring them up. If people want to show off a new integration, this is a perfect time to bring it up. I linked to the office hours notes, just so we have those here for the future. But I have at this point canceled the office hours meeting. So if you attend it next week, no need to do so. Please just come to the community meeting in 2 weeks from now. If you have any concerns or anything, feel free to ping me. Let me know. Awesome. Any other topics that anybody wants to discuss? Cool. Well, this might be a short and sweet meeting. Were there any new members of the community that wanted to introduce themselves? This is kind of, we reserved the last little bit of time to say hi to anybody who's new to the community. All righty. Well, I hope everybody has a great week then.
Hello, Hayden.
Oh, yes.
I just forgot to introduce myself. I'm a developer and the product manager from GT.com, which is the biggest Git code host platform, just like GitHub in China. We just look at the Sigstore, and I got it is a very interesting things. We have we try something just like, because some special reason the Sigstore was hosted on GCP Google Cloud platform, and because that perhaps China's network cannot reach it, so we just want to try something to help Sigstore to spread in China and to get more developer or user to try it. So this is the reason why I want to try to translate the document. Perhaps we can have more community on Slack. That's all.
That's great to hear. Welcome to the community. We're really excited to have you. And then, yeah, if you want to chat any more about Sigstore, feel free to reach out on Slack.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, hope everybody has a great week.
Have a good one.